Well, welcome back to another Wayne Eyes Photos video, and we're going to be talking about bicycle marketing. And we're going to sift through all of these claims that they put out on a lot of these cycling video magazine type YouTube channels and why it really is just BS. Well, we're going to roll that intro and then we're going to dismantle the BS in the bicycle industry. Keep watching. Well, the first thing that is straight off the ranks is Aero, and Aero seems to go in and out of fashion every sort of couple of years, and it really is a bit of a laughing matter because the Aero gains really relate mostly to the frame because the bike brand really is just a frame. Sometimes it includes the stem and sometimes the handlebars, but not always. So really, let's just look at the frames. Now, the reason why this is like a total load of rubbish is because the UCI since the 90s has basically limited this frame design. Now, there's a thing called NACA, which is the aerodynamic shape that is actually been deemed to be the most aero. And what the UCI did is they actually designed the rules to actually limit these frames. Because if you go back to the 90s, we had bikes like the Royal Melbourne Institute Technology Superbike, and we also had the Lotus bike, which were one-piece frames, which actually did give aero advantages. And they even had positions like the Superman and the crouch position, and these positions were banned by the UCI, so you can't use them anymore because they were actually giving a significant advantage to these people using these techniques. So number one is that the frames, if they're UCI compliant, really can't be more aero because the actual design rule of the UCI has specifically made a rule to limit the design characteristics to create fully aero frames. So that's number one. Well, the number two item that's been the theme through the 2020 has been lightweight disc brake bikes. And we've seen the Specialized Ethos has really been pushing this one as, you know, the ultimate lightweight disc brake bike. And you pay a pretty penny for it as well. Now, we've had another YouTuber who's a German, Austrian, I'm not too sure where he lives, but a guy called Ronald Kuber, if you follow him. And he's a guy who's pretty flush with his money, and his bikes are the best. I mean, he's built up some absolutely beautiful bikes. And he built up one of these bikes, and so, you know, he wouldn't have been skimping on anything on that bike. And I think it came out to around about 6.8 or 6.9 kilos. So really it's not that super light. So they are really struggling to get like an out of the box bike down to a really low weight, you know, with the disc brakes on them. So, you know, this is another thing that they're resetting the mark for what is a lightweight bike. You know, because I mean I've spoken to my owner of my local bike shop, you know, here in Perth, WA, and he's told me he's built 5 kilo bikes before. Now, of course, you know, they probably would be with specialty parts, but that's almost 2 kilos lighter. That's a lot of weight out of a bike. So really, this is another marketing myth that they're trying to, you know, push onto us all. Compliance. Now that's really the third myth, because compliance is actually a funny thing, and it comes from a lot of different components on your bike. You know, compliance can come from the type of handlebars, the front end, the actual way the frame's designed, even the wheels. Now, I don't know if people realise, but the way wheels are designed, they actually have built-in flex. You know, the way the spokes actually work and the design of the spoke and the way that the wheel's built up actually can give flex. And then you've also got the way the tyre is mounted to the rim. You know, certain different tyres, if you have a wider tyre, you run at a lower pressure, you know, you get more comfort. So this whole compliance thing is really a combination of a number of components. It's not just the frame. So, you know, they sell this. I mean, you know, they say, oh, yes, it's more aero and it's more compliant and, you know, it's so much percentage better than the next bike. But, you know, what really does that mean when you come to ride it? And how does that interact with the other components that are on the bike? So that's a bit of another myth. It's really a net output of a number of components that are fitted to the bike. And the other point is really you don't actually hear the manufacturers actually making these claims. They're usually actually made by third parties through sponsored videos or sponsored content or media outlets that actually claim it. You never actually hear it directly from the manufacturers as being put out as we've conducted this test, we did it with these requirements, and then we got these results. And you very rarely hear those sorts of figures coming out of anywhere. So you really have to question, what tests were done? How did they come to these figures? And were they peer reviewed? And 4, we have the latest one about rolling resistance. And there seems to be this belief that, you go to a wider tyre and it's actually faster. And this is just a complete nonsense, because even if this was true, right, we can go and test them on a tyre bed. We're talking about 0.00 something watts difference between the tyres. So when you look at this in relationship to the drag that your body is, which is the biggest component you have on the bike, it's very, very tiny. The factor is less than 1 in 100, probably 1 in 1,000. So when you have such a small, insignificant amount compared to the wattage loss of your body, it doesn't make any difference in the real world, because yes, that tyre might be faster, but the difference it adds on or detracts from the watts that your body actually is losing is insignificant. So these sorts of things are really just rubbish, just BS. And then you also have the fact that if the tyre gets wider, it's also not so aero. But even those are very, very small figures and really make almost no difference. So if I was you guys, I'd be more focusing on bike fit and comfort, because when you get on your bike, if you're comfortable in your right position, you can put out more power compared to the aero position on your bike, because your body creates the biggest drag. If you're really, really interested in about going faster, the two things are your body position, and also your fitness level. So they're the real two main things that will make a difference to your performance on the bike. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for listening to me unpacking all of that BS. Don't be too disheartened if you bought that bike. It's not about this bike or that bike or whatever. It's about you enjoying your riding. Okay then, guys. Well, thanks for watching another Wayno's Photos video, and I'll catch you in the next vid. Cheers.